Good evening. Welcome to the Finance Committee meeting. Today is March 2nd. April 2nd.
Yeah.
We're going to start off and go through the minutes, and then we're going to discuss the Finance Committee's report that's going into the town meeting booklet. Around 7 o'clock, we'll be joined by the Select Board for a joint meeting. We'll be talking with Nick Lawler from the Water and Sewer Department, going over their budgets, and then we'll have a general discussion of the FY25 warrant and articles. The end around 8:40 or so, we'll have member update, public input, and then we'll adjourn and set our next meeting. So with that, we have the minutes from March 18th, 24.
They look fine to me. I move that we accept.
Second?
Motion and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes are good. All right, I printed out a copy. I apologize for all the different drafts, but Ryan kept switching the article numbers out on me.
Sad and true.
See? Thank you, Ryan.
Kept me on my toes, that's what it was. So how's it look for everybody?
That's very good.
I did add a couple of sentences, I think from the third time I sent it around, if I can find them. I use a couple of things from Brian's comments that he gave me. And I can't see where I put new things in, but there are just a couple of new things. And Jenna today reminded me that Tom Perrell also left, so I put a thank you in for Tom also at the end.
No, I think it's good. I mean, this to the degree that people actually read these, it's
It's at least documented.
right. I mean, and it starts with, hey, covering the initial budget deficit. I mean, that's, we weren't making it up last year.
So I will get this to Ryan, and you can incorporate it into the booklet.
Do you want a motion to accept
Yeah,
it?
why don't we?
I move,
Sure.
whether we need it or not, I move that we accept the budget report.
Second?
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so for town meeting, presentation at town meeting, I'm certainly not going to rehash the stuff that's in here. I'll go through a little bit of stuff of the process, but not much. I want to hit more of what the future is, what we have coming down the road, because the next few years is still as tough as this one was. Just in the debt service alone, I was looking at it the other day, it's, the sewer is over 1.7, then we have the senior center hitting, we had something else hitting.
Roofs.
Just a lot.
Roofs, yeah.
Oh, Indian Hill, that purchase will be hitting, so.
Yeah, the only thing is the sewer, which is kind of, I guess, just listed as, a big expense, which we knew it would be, but just remind that it's a temporary big expense that we have to get through as a town being the only user until people sign on. As opposed to, I saw people, I think, reading this saying, I thought the sewer was going to be covered by 550 King Street. We weren't going to be paying this. We knew we were going to have to cover it for a couple of
Right.
years.
And I think that's important that the town hear
Just to
that type
remind
of
them,
thing,
yeah.
because, if you think back at the town meetings before, it was the, sewer department coming up there and saying, the town won't be impacted, everything is fine.
Yeah.
And, in the back of our minds, it kind of knew better than
Yeah.
what was really going to happen, so it's a big impact.
Right, and my sense is that it's probably 4 to 5 years, because I'd be very surprised if Lapoli is built out, at least on the apartment side, enough to have him pick up
Right,
sort of his
of
fair
these things,
share of that project. So, I think that We just need to sort of keep that up front. And,
Yeah.
I mean, just let the data lead the discussion and try to keep emotion out of it. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
We signed up for it, and you gotta pay for it. So, that, I think, is important for people to hear. And
Oh, yeah, good.
if in fact we end up with a new school or even a retrofitted school, that's going to be bigger than a bread box right on top of the tail end
Right.
of what the town is footing for the sewer.
But that's going to play out for a lot longer, whereas the sewer should correct itself in,
Oh,
you
no,
know,
no,
a number of
absolutely.
years.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not suggesting that it's a forever. I hope it's not
Yeah,
forever, because if 550 King or something else doesn't pick up that flow rate,
Right.
the town
Right,
is
that's always
in a
a gamble,
world
but
apart. It really is. I mean, we dodged a bullet because of our fiscal conservatism over the years, by not having to go for an override this year, like a lot of towns around it, right around us, contiguous to us, are going for major overrides. But, if something doesn't break, we could be in really tough shape in a couple of years. So, people, I think they need to hear that, and I think that's why I think Steve's suggestion of a forward-looking presentation at town meeting, because we'll have gazillion people there for at least one article,
Right.
and nobody can say they didn't hear it.
Right. And the people that voted for the sewer based on 550 King Street picking up the bulk of it have to remember that in order for them or anybody else to pick up the bulk of it and other things, there has to be
Wouldn't
that
have it.
growth.
Right.
Because it seems like we voted for that, and then, it seems that people want to stop the growth, so then we are going to get stuck with it.
Right.
Right,
I do think, I agree, the moving forward, but I think we also, there has to be at least some degree of starting by saying, hey, folks, you're about to vote on Article 3, and the fact that it's Article 3, I'm sorry, the budget has to be Article 4. Find an article to stick in there. The budget has to be Article 4.
Do you have a connection to that number? Or is
It has always been number 4. It is number 4.
Be flexible.
Right, yeah, right. No, I think it's worth, at the beginning of the presentation, saying, look, we said last year there's probably going to have to be cuts. We did have cuts. Everybody worked at it. We got to a balance with some cuts without having to do an override like everyone else. Just so we set the tone.
There will be some things here. I want to frame it in a way that, as people go through Article 3, and they see the differences, and they start putting holes on, fire department went up, a hole, and police department went up. They explain, well, there's 3 new firefighters, there's 1 new police officer. We have things that we were able to add, and these are the things, and maybe that'll stop people from putting holes on them. I remind people to read this, and I think prior to town meeting, you and I should probably do
What we used to
LCTV.
do, yeah.
We used to do it all the time. We used to do it with the town administrator and the moderator, our LCTV show. So I know you
Yeah,
and,
PA still does it, yeah. Yeah.
Tim would probably do it, but
Yeah.
we could either piggyback on you, or we can do our own.
Right.
And this will be inserted into the warrant,
That is into the booklet, yes.
into the booklet that people get in the mail?
Yes.
So
The town
that's,
report.
as far as setting the stage, I think the way that you phrased a lot of this too is really very clear to explain. And I've been to lots of town meetings where when it comes time to vote the budget, it just gets voted. There might be a couple of comments, but there was one year, there were no holds.
Oh, I remember that.
And this might set up a situation where there are no holds because you go through and explain really clearly, this is what we're looking at. Not to say that you can't talk at town meeting, of course you can. But I guess what I'm saying is that people who are coming are the sort of nerds that like to read the article, the warrant article booklet, so they'll definitely have a chance to see this too. So those people.
And maybe it even raises more questions with people, which is good.
That's
what
true.
Town meeting is for.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
When we switched from Article 4 being 4 hours to being just voted, it was very freaky.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure what was behind such a dramatic shift from lots of questions to no questions at all. So, whatever.
But-
Yeah.
Well, with 30-something articles to get through that night, it's,
I think another thing that's important, and maybe this is more for Ryan, last town meeting, it was, okay, it's 10:25, do we want to try to power through the last one? And I think we were there till 1:45, right? We can't do that. We can't do that to anyone whose bedtime is normally 8
Fair
o'clock.
enough. I think the one thing we have going for us this year, Jenna, is that we have the electronic
clickers.
voters. So
The
if we
clickers.
had that
Right,
for that last article that went so long, it
Yeah.
would, we'd be able to do it
Right.
in seconds. So that, luckily, this will be our test, per our schedule.
yeah.
So I think that will help a lot, and I think it'll move, help move the meeting through quicker. I believe the
right.
moderator's going to be here tonight at 7 too, so
oh, good.
I think we'll be able to, hear a little bit about what's going on. But yeah, no, I understand. I think that's something that a message the moderator would need to hear as well.
But I don't know if it makes sense to tell people who attend town meeting, folks, this is a big booklet, we might need to do 2 nights, to have people already conceiving of
Right.
2 nights in a row.
No, and it's a good question, because so much of it really depends on really the moderator and, the types of questions that come up.
Yep.
So, yes, could this be a 2-night meeting? Absolutely. We have had, one of the good things is, and you'll see when we go through our new list, that we've been able to cut out a few articles, and anytime you can do that, that's important. I think some intelligent utilization of the consent agenda will help us as well. So, it's certainly a possibility. But
Here's the thing, if you tell people it'll be 2 nights and you manage to do it in one, the click voting will be really, really well supported, and they'll feel good about making that purchase, and I don't know, I think that most human misery is caused by poor communication. So if you let people know in advance, it could be a 2-nighter, and maybe I'm doing that just by talking into the mic, but it might be 2 nights,
Yeah.
right?
No,
So
certainly
it's okay to
possible.
prep people for that and then
Point taken.
surprise them.
Right.
Arlington town meetings, 5 nights.
5 nights?
Yeah.
No.
No, seriously, I've got a friend who's on,
I was on Arlington Town Meeting for 11 years, so that's a light, that's light. It's usually like 8, 9. So, yeah, no. so
Ryan!
It's representative town meeting, so it's a little different. So,
Right.
sorry, I had to correct you there,
Wow.
Brian.
no, please.
9 wasn't easy.
Yeah, I do, yeah. Well, 9's not untypical per se.
Wow.
So, but again, it's representative town meeting, and it's also too. It's a matter of what people expect too. So when people expect one night, then people coming up to speak, and usually that's what's good about here. People kind of understand and try to get it done in one night, and then when you have that many nights, people figure, all right, well, we can let other people speak, and so. But anyway,
Yeah,
a few friendly. It's representative town meeting. It's its own animal. So, and now they're on Zoom. So it's even more wild. So,
Wow.
but be that as it may. But Steve, just a few friendly amendments for you on this in terms of other things that you might want to add to it. One other thing in terms of the other factors that may be impacting the budget in the future is we're still in negotiations with 4 of our unions. We haven't settled any of that. We have a placeholder in the warrant, but certainly haven't locked anything down on that front. So that's important. I mean, the other overrides, it might be useful to mention the other communities that for people to be aware of, either in your update or in terms of what you've written.
Yeah.
Or
I think the update is a place to do that. I
yeah,
do.
but actually specifically mentioning it, because there's at least a handful right in our very area, and the factors that are leading to their potential overrides are the same factors that that we're dealing with as well. And so just that to keep in mind, so. And then the last thing is, the reason why I just remembered as you were saying it, the why was this Article 3 is that Article 1, which is usually the appointment, this is actually a good news story. We were able to get rid of the appointment of, the
counter
bar.
defense
So
viewers.
we took that out, but
Okay,
we bumped
all right.
everything up. So it's a good
Fair
news
enough,
story.
fair enough. Yeah.
So, yeah, one less article.
I'll deal with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Waivers and pay, yes, exactly.
In 20 years, when it becomes Article 2, we'll say, it's always been Article 3.
I hope to be long gone.
Okay, anything else for the report or the cable show? We'll probably go through the articles in the cable thing.
Yep.
Town meeting presentation, talked about moving forward outlook.
We'll get to see the presentation before that night?
I'll send it around.
Yep. Excellent.
Steve, do you want to do it as PowerPoint or just,
Yeah, it'll be a
this
PowerPoint.
will be PowerPoint, okay.
I'll get it to you and I'll get a copy to Tim.
Did you like doing book reports as a child? Was it like your jam?
No.
No. So this is not pleasant for you to work on? Because it comes across as if you were joyful as you wrote it.
Oh, I was smiling all the way.
Yeah, it comes across that way. No, truly, like it's upbeat, it has nice commentary. I thought it was nice. That's why I thought you were a book report writer, but no.
We're kind of done. Do we have anything else? Any other things? So we'll see at the end of this if we need another meeting or not with the select board, how quickly we can get through things.
I think Nick's coming in
Nick,
tonight
I
at
haven't
7.
heard that he wasn't.
Yes, no, I talked to him earlier today. He's
Okay.
planning on coming
Good.
back.
All right, let's take a 10-minute break here.
All right, this would be the opportunity.
Back to Finance Committee meeting. We've been joined by the Select Board to the start of our joint session. And we have Nick Lawler from General Manager of the Water Department and the Sewer Department. Are you General Manager of the Sewer Department also?
You want it?
I don't want it.
Steve, want to hold on a second till LCTV catches up? Want to hold on till LCTV catches up?
She said, doesn't matter.
Keep going.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think we have a relatively easy town meeting this year. It's just with 2 articles. I know we got a little different view of it. We have the betterment piece of it this year. So really just the funding article for the water department, funding article for the sewer department. Any questions? Do you have anything? Just kinda-
I guess the first question I have is to Brian, why the,
Good news.
Betterment.
It's another good news
Fun.
story.
There you go.
The moderator keeps on reminding me, the more we can take off, the more articles we can take off, the better, so.
Let's take Article 3 off then.
So we have, so we had a conversation with Nick, town council, and the finance team earlier today. And so we made a determination that we could consolidate or the authorization of the use of the betterment revenue and just put that into both the water and the sewer articles separately. So that basically, it's a 2-part motion, and Nick agreed that would be an efficient way to do it. So we were able to take a couple articles off, but the use has been added to what is now Article 11, which is the Water Enterprise Fund, and Article 13, which is the Sewer Enterprise Fund. I would note, too, we're also amending in Article 12 the fiscal year 24 Water Enterprise budget.
Yeah, I forget what that one had to do with. Yeah, so we spoke with town council today, Steve, on having separate articles. So the betterment, I think this was a question made at the last select board finance committee meeting. The water department betterment, that's been, I think, 6 or 7 years. And that's for the 495 bridge crossing, part of the Point project. So that's been in our funding article. It hadn't been a separate article. I guess the Department of Revenue would like that a little bit more defined. So I think town council originally brought that forward as 2 articles, but they agreed to it being combined into one, which makes sense to us because it's all about funding of the water department, which we're paying the debt related to that. So it's really just a transfer of the funds from betterment account to the enterprise fund to pay the associated debts.
Specifically for
Specifically
that
for the
purpose.
project.
So in past years, it's just been a line item, and this year we're calling it out as a separate item?
Yeah, we would actually provide to the town as betterment revenue, and then as part of DOR guidance, it gets lumped in as other revenue, which really, on the town meeting article, is just one line item.
Okay.
So that's where that was allocated in prior years.
Anything big in the water department budget for '25? Gone up about
Well, I mean, so
400,000.
Ryan brought up a good point. We're amending the FY '24 budget because, well, we struggle with projects that last multiple years. Most of the water main projects, they don't happen in a fiscal year. They might start at the end of a fiscal year, and then we lose the rights to those funds until they're certified. So we kind of lose them for the next year. So that's why we're amending the FY '24 budget, was to move the $1.9 million out of the capital outlay. That was for the sewer project, the water mains and the sewer project. So we're moving that to a special purpose account to do those water mains, which we approached the FY '25 budget in the same way. There's 2 large line items there, Steve. One's the $1.25 million, that's for water main on Foster Street as part of that road reconstruction. And then one's $600,000 for PFAS design at Beaverbrook Treatment Plant to be able to make that PFAS free as well. So that way, if those projects go across 2 different fiscal years, they're now specifically appropriate for that purpose.
Okay, makes sense.
And then the FY '24 budget, like I said, that's moving the 1.9 out of capital outlay into the project that was intended for. Which that should be done by September anyway, so I don't think we really needed to do it, but it's just cleaner to do it that way.
So, this might just be my misreading of it, but the way the article's worded for Article 11, it sounds like you're taking the 73,950 plus taking another 8.475, but aren't you taking 8.475 minus the 73,950 for the second?
Yep.
So the 8.475 should be lowered
Yep,
by.
this just came out today, so
We can, I think you're gonna see the same thing on the sewer article as well, but we can check with town council on
Yeah.
what her preference is.
I think one other question I've heard come up quite a bit with the sewer budget has been future years, so I just wanted to kind of touch upon that real quickly. And I know we've sat down with Jerry, Steve and Fred a little bit on this. But this, I wouldn't say this is the worst year for the sewer department, but it's probably comparable to the next 2. I think next year it goes up maybe 20 grand or something like that, then it starts to fall back off. Then it drops off dramatically once you get usage.
Next year, the debt service goes up dramatically. It's like in FY '26, it's up to like $1.7 million, the debt service.
Yeah, but that's paid by betterments as well.
To the extent that we have the betterments coming in, yes. We'll have the town's 825, which we're using 200,000 of it this year, so.
This year, so you
Yeah,
got
we're
600
assuming
plus.
the other property owners are gonna pay their betterments, but we'll see how.
Not to that tune, though.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, again, what happens if it doesn't come in? If, you know,
Yeah, you go
you're
through the whole.
magnanimous.
Well, we have some, but.
We're paying.
Yeah, you know, that's the risk that we're
Yeah, then you go
playing
through the
here.
tax title process, and, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think we wanna go through that, but,
Okay.
no, it's a tax assessment, so they have to.
I think once we go through this fiscal year with these first payments that we're collecting now,
Yeah.
probably sit down with Robin and Kim and Ryan and kind of map out how much of a betterment we've taken in and how we can stretch that out until we're done with construction, we can bill for
Yeah.
the other 90%.
Yeah, we've had quarterly meetings with Ryan and his team, and I know certain finance committee members, but if we need to have more, that we can have more of those meetings. I think they're very helpful for all of us to get in the room and talk about the impact. Yep.
You're the one that brought it up. So.
What's that?
You're the one that brought up the doom and gloom. So.
Well, not really. You guys brought up last meeting.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I mean, it's a relatively straightforward year for us. I don't know if there's any questions.
So on Article 13, just to be clear with everyone, that first line item in FY '25, that's $698,000, that is the town's expense, which shows up in the Article 3 for the wastewater session, and then the $200,000 is portion of the betterment that we're applying to use in that budget to make up your whole $898,000.
Yep.
And we're still the only user. This is still the old system that we're talking about. A new system is coming up. When's the expected date?
Fall of next year.
Fall.
Yeah, fall of '25.
But we're not going to be the only user in fiscal year '25.
No, Hager Homestead should be connected as well, but it's not enough revenue to be excited about.
Well, I understand it's not enough to be excited about, but it should lower the
But at least
number
you
in Article 3 by a few $1,000s at least, right?
Well,
Right now, it's set, so whatever the charges are.
Yeah, we talked with Steve and Fred about that, and I forget the number was $10,000. It was very minuscule. And I think at the time we decided to keep that in the enterprise fund for future years.
what do you expect for flow out of that?
I mean, I think there's maybe 3 of those houses.
I'm sorry?
I think there's 3 houses right now that are close to being occupied. There won't be major flow.
What do they have, like 5 REUs over there?
That sounds
This-
about right,
yeah.
in that ballpark. But there wasn't a lot of flow. It wasn't a lot of revenue.
Brian, do you know if we reached out to the housing development down here to
For Hager?
Housing Authority, Pine Tree Park.
Pine Tree Park for their, betterment?
No update on that yet, but, no.
We had a discussion with the state housing authority on connecting to the sewer last fall, I think.
Yeah.
And they were gung-ho about it.
Ecstatic, yeah.
And I know that Corey was talking to the engineering counterparts on
Yeah.
their side.
Yeah, all conversations have been positive with them. I don't foresee any issues.
because as part of their in lieu payment, we should be billing them for that 10% also. that-
Yeah, they should have received the assessment.
Assessment at that point, so I'll make a note and
I have a housing authority meeting tomorrow, I can ask.
Okay.
Yeah, it was on our list to the assessment, so they should have received them.
Like I said, every little bit helps.
Yep.
And that's not, that's a lot of units, so.
Yeah,
That's
that's
not-
Yeah,
about
yeah.
$1.5 million or so was
Yeah.
the.
It's a big number for
Yeah.
them. yeah.
I think that's the second largest user after, well, third largest user after the town and.
Can they go into the present system?
No.
If they're the second largest user, we're not close to 50% of
Yeah,
the
they-
system down there
They
now,
can't
right?
go into the present system. They're doing their own thing right now, because they have issues with their system that they're managing, and they're waiting for the new system to come online. They won't connect to the existing system. It can't happen.
But from a flow standpoint, we could handle it, right?
Pine Tree Park, on the existing system?
No, on the new one.
Yeah.
The new one, yes. Yeah, they're designed with the new system.
Any other questions for Nick? Do we have them?
Could you talk a little bit about the water department and what they're doing for the Clean Lakes?
Yeah. So, the Clean Lakes, actually, I'll lie to you. They brought forward a budget to us of $103,000. And I believe the board increased to, I think it was $143,000, something like that. Don't quote me an exact number, to support the Clean Lakes Committee. Obviously, we're working with conservation very closely. Tim Pearson, I think you guys all know, we're sharing hours with conservation. He's been an incredible asset to us to be able to work with the Clean Lakes Committee. So, yeah, I think it's about approximately $150,000 was contributing to Clean Lakes Committee with this budget.
Can I add on to that too, Steve? It's one of the things that Nick took the initiative of bringing the town together with the Clean Lakes Group and LELWD, kind of explaining that there were some other expenses that were being incurred by the Clean Lakes Group in terms of that were more longer term in nature. So what you'll see under the CPC article are specific projects that it's being requested to be approved at town meeting under the open space reserves. So specifically spearheaded by the Clean Lakes Committee, and that includes $27,000 for eco harvesting in Long Lake, $50,000 for Clean Lakes floating island removal in Long Lake. I think that's just a bunch of debris and junk that's there. $1,600 for the harvesting of water chestnuts in Doleful Pond, and another $20,000 Clean Lakes is asking for the replacement of the boat launch at Mill Pond. So basically, we're using CPC to provide supplemental funding for a lot of the great projects that the Clean Lakes Committee is involved in. So I think they're satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, the approach that the board took, and we had a meeting with Gary and Ryan and the Clean Lakes people, and it's very, very productive. They want to do a lot of great things, obviously. If I could relate it in any way to water quality around our wells, we took the project on. So Spectacle Pond, for instance, the invasive treatment probably doesn't do anything for water quality. But you could make the argument that if we didn't do it the way we wanted to, then you could use chemicals to remove the invasives. So the board supported projects like that. Long Lake's outside of Zone 2, so it's hard for us to validate that as a proper use of water rates. And that's where Gary and Ryan stepped in with the CPC funds to try to help on those projects. They're great projects. They do a lot of good for the community. So this all started when the cell tower funds and DOR ruled that they couldn't be used for those purposes. And we've been trying to have collaborative conversations for the last couple of years on how to still do them because they are good projects.
Yeah, and I think they'll start being in front of us, just like we had mentioned, for the 2026 budget cycle.
Yeah, and that was probably our fault, because I think by the time we told them to get in front of you guys, you were way too far along in your budget process.
Yeah, I think you guys are doing great work on all of this, and the collaboration was really good this year. I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware that for the following year, there might be different outlays. And
yeah, they did a 5-year plan, so the one that we asked them for.
It's pretty aggressive.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of, some bigger projects that they really want to.
Yeah.
Mill Pond stuff.
Yeah.
I have a question. You said that you want to have an improvement to the Beaver Brook treatment facility to remove the PFAS?
Yep.
Is there technology to remove all of it?
Yeah,
I
so
thought that was part of the forever piece of it, is that you can't treat it.
No, you can. So Wickham Ave, there's non-detect coming out of that plant through carbon filters.
Okay.
So there's ways to remove it. PFAS at Beaver Brook isn't at the levels that Spectacle Pond was. So right now, the water quality there is acceptable.
Yeah.
But we feel that the regulations will continue to be more stringent.
Right.
So we're trying to get ahead of it.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
Yep.
Anything else, Nick?
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Have a good night. Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Okay, we have the updated articles sheet, Brian. Lead us through it.
Okay. So, we'll work from the table of contents here in the front. So we talked a little bit about articles that have been deleted from the our prior select board meeting. We talked about Articles 11 and 12. We've now consolidated them with the Water Enterprise Fund operating budget and the Sewer Enterprise operating budget, so I was able to consolidate a little bit there. We've also, upon speaking with Town Council, are recommending to delete Article 14. There is instead of doing a opioid stabilization fund, they're saying basically do the same thing, but to put it into a special reserve fund for the opioid fund. So it's another way of us getting it, doing the same thing, but without having to do it via an article. So this is our monies we received in FY '23, and you'll see a corresponding transfer under the Article 19, which is fiscal year 2025, other items from available funds. So you'll see that where those funds are in there. And then the last article that we have taken off is the Shade Tree Committee bylaw. After speaking with Karen, Karen spoke, been working with the committee. They had originally proposed something that Karen and I talked about, and we are going to have the committee, the Shade Tree Committee, work with town council to have something ready for the fall town meeting. So we'll have a full, they'll have a full article at that time, and probably considering how much is on this particular agenda, is probably better for everybody to have that taken off. So, those are deleted articles. In terms of, for the select board, the articles were still.
Excuse me, Ryan?
Yep.
Back on Article 19.
Okay.
What controls, if any, are on the opioid special revenue fund?
Right.
I mean, we're putting it in there. What can it be used for? What can't it be used for? So it's not just $100,000
It's fairly
slush fund.
restricted. I think, Jenna, we were talking about this. It's fairly restrictive, so it's got to be something specifically related to opioid remediation. So it may be the kind of thing that we're looking at, partnering with another, community or regional provider. So it really is limited. We'd be looking to also partner with our Director of Public Health and the Board of Health on this as to how those funds would be used. But because it's so restricted, we need to be careful that we're in compliance with what the state's expectations.
So is it under the control of the town administrator's office? or
So
the
I
select
think
board,
technically,
or where?
I think it would be under the control of the Board of Health, is where we'd be going to. So this is just setting, again, the FY '23 funds from now, from here on in, monies come in. Monies have come in on FY '24 that we could just do a journal entry and put it into the reserve fund. That's fine, and this just allows us to basically pay monies that have fallen to free cash that we can put back. So, and there may be other settlements that come in, and monies that we
just fall
receive,
into that.
but we're just going to put it into that account, right? Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
So those are the articles that we have deleted since the last draft. In terms of the select board, we are waiting on, and we will be discussing tonight, recommendations on some articles that we haven't discussed. One is the purchase of the Webster property, which I think we probably will, has to be something that, it's basically we're waiting for what the next appraisal is, which as I understand is going to happen at the beginning of May. So for the select board to make any recommendation, it would have to be based upon when that, probably the night of town meeting is when you would make that recommendation. You just don't have the information before you to otherwise make a decision on that. So
we can actually make a recommendation based on if the article comes in with, CPC funding, right?
I guess, yeah.
We don't have to say
you
what the
certainly,
number is. If we're
it wouldn't be.
comfortable with
Yeah, if
CPC's comfortable with the article, they'd be the ones that would pull the article if
Right.
they felt it couldn't happen. So what?
Because that's what's, right, it would be just, it's up to you how you'd want to do it.
It's something that's worth
Why
discussion.
would we do it if it's all conditional on, without having the data in front of us? We've already pushed off a bunch of the articles saying we don't have the information, so why would we make a recommendation?
That one's truly tied to CPC, though. That's why, that's all. I just wanted to bring it
I
up.
agree with Chuck, though. I think
Okay.
we should wait until
All
we
right,
know the
that's-
numbers.
that's why I
and
wanted to
then
bring it up.
vote the night of, if necessary.
Okay.
Excuse me, are
Sure,
we
sure.
going to go through the articles?
We are, I just
We
wanted.
have to vote some of these.
Yes, so no, I'm only, what I'm doing, we're going to go through all the articles, Steve. I just wanted to highlight, because the select board did vote on the majority of the articles. I'm just kind of calling out the ones that they didn't vote on, and they will be asked to vote on tonight. That's all this is. So the other ones that the select board hasn't voted on yet, The next one was the community preservation budget. We were waiting on information from Carolyn and the CPC. We've received that, so that's there. The authorization to sell the Nagog Hill Orchard, we were waiting on language from town council on that. We've received that. That's now in the document. Authorization to transfer from multiple trust funds. We've cleaned that up a little bit. We had that. This is the I think $40,000 for a mindfulness room at one of the elementary schools, and $4,000 for pets. So I think we just cleaned that up a little bit, so you'll be able to review that. We took a pass on the Oak Hill Stabilization Fund. There's some new language there. The Article 19, which is fiscal year 25, other items from available funds. We made some changes on that, so you'll have that as well. Fiscal year 25 compensation grid, that has been updated. That's in the document, basically based on a 2.5% increase. Article 20, and then finally, I think it's Article 26, it's the use of debt stabilization fund for fiscal year 25 excluded debt. But otherwise, the select board either voted to recommend articles, but there may be and there are some other articles in there which you don't generally make recommendations on, such as the citizen petition articles and the planning board articles that are in here. So that's where we are on that. So, just to remind everybody, our schedule in terms of printing, we're scheduled to go to the printer next Monday, the 8th. So in a pinch, if we don't get through everything today, we do have another select board meeting on the 8th, so we could probably delay it a day to get it to the printer the following day, but depending on how things go, tonight we should be in better shape to have most of that together. So this is an iterative process, so each time it's getting stronger, the document's getting stronger and stronger, and I think basically where we are today, I feel good about where we are and with this. So,
Let's do it.
okay, so let's move our way through. The first piece I would point out is the select board's message. We just kind of have a general note here about a note about how the procedure works and how the articles work. Then we have the town moderator's message. I need to put that down at the top of the page. So Tim is here to provide any direction to both boards. I don't know if you have anything you want to hit on regarding your beginning comments, Tim, anything you want that's new?
It's pretty much the message that's in there every year. We have, a blurb on the electronic voting. That'll be the first time we do that. And we have a paragraph on accessibility requirements of ADA. We do a good job with that as well, but we don't specifically call it out in the town meeting report, but we should do it this time.
Are you gonna do a ballot on every single vote rather than a hand count with the electronics?
I think we're going to use the new system when we can use it. I think that's probably the best way to sell it as to the townspeople, that they're getting their money's worth. The first item will be the consent agenda, so that'll be a good opportunity for people to see what the actual tally is on that, because that's usually done on a voice vote, and some people wonder what that was. Some of the items are 2/3 votes or 4/5 in the case of prior year. Sometimes we have a 9/10 vote on there, so they'll actually be able to tell which of the articles got the necessary votes. So I think, and the clerk's here as well, I think in time, the electronic voting will save us time. It may take us a little more time the first time out, getting people used to it, and so we may kind of stumble through, but in the long run, I think it'll be more efficient in town meeting.
Tim pointed out the town clerk is here, right?
So if I may, you're basically going to take away the hand votes. You're going to be taking away the ballot votes, taking all of that away. It'll go from 10-minute vote, half-hour vote, 45-minute vote, that hour-and-a-half vote. It'll come down to 30 seconds on the votes. So it's just, though the comments and all of that will still stay the same, the voting itself will be much better.
So do we tell people that, that the clock starts now and the clock shuts off now?
So Tim will
So
make
you
the
don't have-
announcement at 30 seconds that the voting is closed and the.
And I imagine that'll be displayed to people, they'll know how much time they've got remaining to vote.
Yeah, well, that-
Yeah.
that's
We already
fine.
have the existing clock that's there, so we would use that as a way to.
Yeah, no, that- just so you don't have
I guess
people
be
hanging
prepared.
around and hanging around and hanging
The,
around.
the preparation is, what's discussion, something to think about on the person that says, it didn't work right for me, I didn't get it in time, and they stand up and they, what are we going to do? I guess that.
Well, if you look at the clickers that they have.
It does tell you, yep.
Right, there's a yes, no vote, and on the top, when you push the button, a light will come up and you voted.
Okay.
Regardless of whether it's a yes vote or a no vote, it doesn't matter, it'll show up that you voted A or B.
But if they dropped it or something and they weren't able to vote, they're not going back to vote the whole,
That's correct.
Okay, I just wanna-
A vote is a vote is a vote, we're
Right,
not
thank-
gonna, we don't
I wanted to see how strict you were going to be.
consider.
So just to be clear, you can't challenge the electronic vote? Like, you can challenge a voice vote, right?
You can always challenge whatever the moderator determines is the outcome. Based on the screen, if I say this was the count, then you could challenge that. I suppose you could.
And then
You
what
could make
happens?
everyone vote electronically again,
Okay.
and again until,
That's at
go back
your
to head
discretion,
counts.
or
Huh?
that's at your discretion, then you take that challenge and put it to a.
Well, I think the bylaw says 7 people have to challenge me, so
Yeah.
it's happened a few times, but
Same.
unsuccessfully, yeah.
Yeah.
So if the electronic vote is challenged, it's another electronic vote?
By 7 or more people.
I'm just asking what the, if it's
That's the way
challenged.
that's the way I would handle it.
Okay.
If it became necessary, we could do a hand count, I suppose, but that would, if somebody was really being obstructive, that would defeat the purpose of it.
If there's a big van
That's
parked
the
next to the
idea.
building when we're doing it, we can be a little more suspicious or something.
I mean,
It's
the
a
whole
pretty locked-in
idea of
system.
going with the clickers is to make it more
Right.
effective and more efficient, not to go backwards and say, could you just stand there and hold your hand up, and then you have somebody who's sitting beside them and who's got their arm over behind them, and when the counters are counting, they don't know, they can't see real close, and so if people are gonna be suspicious, they should have been more suspicious when we were doing hand counting.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
Right,
so,
yeah.
I mean, in all reality,
Yeah.
and it's gonna, when the vote is taken, you'll see the tally, you'll see the numbers, the full numbers of everybody voting.
As it's
And when
going.
it's closed, it will break down the yes, no. So you won't be able to see, how the vote is actually going. You'll just be able to see the total of the votes.
There's no abstain button?
No, you chose not to put that there. You just don't vote.
So you might hand out, I don't know, 200 clickers and only get 186 people who voted,
Yeah.
and, okay.
And those would be, the differences.
So abstaining is just not pushing a button?
Correct.
Got it.
Yeah. Anything else? No. Okay, all right. So, next up is the Finance Committee update, which Steve and the Finance Committee went over earlier. So Steve's going to forward that to me, and that will be in the next draft. So that's good. In terms of the FY25 budget summary, that's page 1 here in the second handout we provided to you. So currently, we are in the black by $54,186. So I think this is should be good in terms of where we are right now, and what will be then presented at town meeting under Article 3. So, okay. So Article 1 is the acceptance of annual reports. So we think that the Finance Committee will be giving a PowerPoint presentation. Tim, I don't know if anybody else has been reaching out to you. I know that the Orchard Group wanted to do something and do a presentation.
Prior to our article.
You want to do it, okay, as part of the article, okay.
Since it got moved up. yeah, I think that
Okay,
makes more
makes sense. So I don't know if anybody else has reached out to
No,
you.
and the Finance Committee usually gives their report prior to Article 4, or whatever the budget article is. I mean, it's not called out as a separate.
Article 4.
Yeah, okay.
It's going to be more of the entire warrant type of thing, plus a look into the next couple of years. So it's not just tied to the operating budget anymore, so.
Okay. Well, Article 1 really specifically is just to accept, the town, the annual report. With everything that, it's not an opportunity for every board and committee to say, we want 5 minutes at town. It's been used that way sometimes, but we're trying to.
Whenever you want me to speak, Tim, you just let me know.
Yep, yeah. And I think that would defer to you, Mr. Moderator.
If it's different
on that
enough
one.
from the budget, then I
Mhm.
can see that.
Right.
When you don't want him to speak, will you let him know that too?
One way or the other, yeah.
Okay. So this is just to accept then at that point?
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
fine. And we don't have these, and
But
there's
no, nobody's reached out, so.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. I should ask both chairs, do you want to go through everything first, or do you want to, as we get through each article, make recommendations on it that we
It's
haven't?
the quickest way,
As
whatever the
we-
quickest way is.
As we go through it.
Yeah, as we go through, we'll be quick.
Okay, that's up to you. Okay, sounds good. Okay.
Because we haven't voted anything, so.
We
That's
should
right,
have the
that's right.
clickers for ourselves right now.
That's right.
We could have tested them out.
Okay.
Great practice.
Article 2 is bills of prior years. This is a 4/5 vote, and this is one bill that we received late from KP Law in the amount of $1,100.
Is that 1 hour?
So moved.
Yeah.
Probably 2.
Have a second?
Second.
Moving in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Recommend Article 2.
Okay.
Do we do the same? Or did we already do it?
We've already voted on
Yeah.
those.
You're going to let us know when we have to vote, right?
I will let you know.
7, 15,
I will let you
16,
know.
19.
So, okay. So Article 3 is the FY25 operating budget. This was normally where we start, this is Article 3 here in the handout. This is consistent with the cover page that will be earlier in the document. Total budget to raise and appropriate is $58,831,276, and a transfer from the undesignated fund balance of $794,543 for a total of $59,625,819. So we certainly have had plenty of budget discussions about the budget, and so.
This includes everything that we discussed, all the cuts in the last meeting with the police officer changes. So,
Move that we approve.
have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Move in second, all in favor?
Aye.
So that's going to be the article formerly known as Article 4?
Right. It's a good news story, because we're no longer voting on measures of hay, bark, and how many angels on the top of a pin, so fine. Okay, so next we start getting into some of the rearrangement of the articles and the order that the board wanted. Specifically, Article 4 is related to the purchase of the Webster property. Currently this is listed, I think that this would be a 2/3 vote because it's a land purchase, I think, please correct me if I'm wrong. But then what we talked about earlier was, at least for the select board, is choosing to wait until the night of town meeting, when at that point we'll have the appraisal back and know at that point what the CPC would be recommending on this article, presuming they were going to be funding the debt service from their own budget. So, and then
So
finance.
Fred and I attended the CPC meeting last night. We double-checked with the committee and Carolyn to make sure that they wanted it as a borrowing article. They do. They may take part of their funds that they have on hand in their bucket and do a large pay down. So once the price comes in, I told them we need to sit down with Robin and Kim and yourself, see what the best cash flow options and term we can use and how much they really want to kick in.
Yeah, okay,
So
okay.
that'll be something we'll have to get done in a hurry.
Yep, it'll be a quick turnaround, because I think, is the appraisal due back on the 1st, May 1st, is that right? Yeah, okay, I thought that was the target date, so we can turn around quickly once we know what that figure is. So I think.
The heading here has the Conservation Commission as the article. This should be the CPC.
And this has changed, so I will take that as a friend, I will make that adjustment.
CPC, right?
This changed a lot, so, yes, I will add that and change that out. Thank you, good catch, Steve.
Is it a certifiable vernal pool or a certified?
It's got issues.
I will take that as a friendly amendment then, sure. I don't want vernal pools to have hurt feelings, then, no, okay. So I think, again, we can wait on the article for both committees until such a point.
Yeah, until we
Once we have
know
the
more about
numbers,
it.
yeah.
All right, so we'll say on the floor.
So can we, as a group here, I mean, if we can not wait till 10 minutes before town meeting, we should. Like we shouldn't.
Okay.
Shouldn't.
If we're able to make a decision,
If the
Sure, let's
appraisal
meet
gets in, if
beforehand.
the appraisal
Let's
gets
meet
in
if we
May
have to.
1st, we should set something up
Yeah,
right
meet on May
after we get
3rd.
that number.
That's fine. That's fine. Setting is important enough, right?
Fair.
Can even maybe bring in the CPC and make it a...
Absolutely, it's their articles.
So we can bring all three groups together and just bring up more tables.
Yep.
That works, okay.
And conceptually, we're all still on the same page that we only would consider if the appraisal is such that CPC can. Okay,
So
I just want to make sure
it's
we're
a
still on that.
CPC article, you can only use CPC funds if the purchase price is at or below the appraised value.
Just want to make that clear.
That's everybody's understanding, correct?
Yep.
It's also reasonable to presume that if CPC is going to put this in here, it's because the Websters are willing to sell it for whatever the appraised value is.
We don't know that.
We don't know that.
Because we don't know what the number is, so...
Sure,
so
but
I
if
think-
it comes back, let's say at 800,000, and the Websters say, that's fine, then it's in here. If they say 800,000, we want, much more, is the article just removed and pulled?
I think we would then go back to both committees
Okay.
and then come up with
Okay.
it, right? Because I think there has to be agreement among...
Unless there's some other funding plan with it.
But no one
Yeah, you're right.
here has created a Plan B funding plan. It's appraised value, CPC,
Or nothing. Yeah, that's,
Yeah, that's right.
Okay,
That's it,
all right.
I think, yeah.
All right.
So, okay.
yep,
if the sales price is more than what the appraisal is, we can't use CPC funds.
that I understand. Yep,
Yes.
And if there's no actual purchaser, then it's moot too.
So,
What?
The seller.
Seller.
What do you mean purchaser? We're the purchaser.
We're the purchaser.
Yes.
But for a second, we all were thinking, did we miss something? So we trust you know what you're talking about most of the time.
That's covered in Article 3.
Yeah.
We are great.
Foxborough might want that land.
Okay, so with those amendments, we can move on from Article 4? Okay, great. All right, Article 5. So, as both the Finance Committee and Select Board may remember, we've been trying to, we discussed this back in the fall when there was a discussion about increasing the community percentage contribution to the CPC. I think initially that was looking to go from 1% to 3%, and I think we had changed things a little bit where we had said that we would be looking to contribute free cash to the CPC to take advantage of the blending of those articles. So with that, you'll see here $287,136 for different CPC projects. You'll notice that there are a few things that we missed in that last draft, so I may ask the Select Board to just re-vote here on this.
We haven't
one.
voted
more than
five.
5.
Okay, fine. All right, so I will ask you then to vote. Good. And then we added some additional funding in there for the debt service associated with Lucy Lee's land, Cobb's Lane, and Boxborough Road, as well as the Houghton Building and the debt service on the tennis court. So again, this totals $287,136, and I think is consistent with what we had talked about as a group about how we would be funding more of the CPC through our free cash.
CPC last night did approve this article.
Okay.
They voted.
Good.
They voted it.
All right.
Just to be clear, that one that says the Long Lake dock is what was originally under capital and then moved? I'm just asking because it's not in yellow.
Right.
And I didn't think it was part of what we discussed there.
And I think the dock is going to be, let's see, where's the dock?
We approved it, if I remember right, Mark, we approved it for CPC. Unfortunately, nobody told them, so we
Yeah, I mean,
went through it
it's
the last
still-
second with them last night.
Let's see, where is it accounted for? I think maybe the match isn't there, but it's but I think it's still being, if the match isn't there, but I think it's still being funded through the CPC, so I think do I still have it here?
The match is on Article 5,
Yeah.
top of the page.
Top of the page, it's there.
Oh,
Well,
okay, it is there, all right, all right, thank you.
Just isn't in yellow, that's why.
Just not in yellow, right, because you already looked at it. So, okay, so the CPC voted last night, yes?
Yes.
Okay. And I'd ask for a motion from the Fincom and Select Board. A recommendation.
Accept. Recommend. Article 5 is presented.
A motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye. I move that the select board vote to recommend Article 5.
Second?
Moved by Matthew, second by Karen, all those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So Article 6 is the Community Preservation Committee article. Right now, the only gaps that you'll see in yellow is the open space debt service and the Webster property as variables. My sense is that we will probably either leave that blank and provide a substitute motion for town meeting once we know what that number is. We also have the projects that, the end to transfer language has the projects that are being funded through the CPC. We talked about that with Carolyn, she sent some updates on that. And that includes those Clean Lakes projects we were talking about earlier. So that's kind of a new component of use under the CPC, thanks to the suggestion of, the meeting that Gary and I had with the Clean Lakes group. We're also, per the recommendation of the CPC, we're also rescinding a few unspent balances here. So that's another element. There's kind of multiple components going on here on Article 6. So really, the only variable here in terms of numbers is this question about the Webster property, which again would be, as we discussed earlier, would be coming back with a substitute article at town meeting.
Like I said, it's either going to be a one-year debt service number, or it's going to be a big down payment plus debt service.
Right, so we will have to change accordingly in the meetings, yeah.
So do we want to vote this with the caveat that the Webster number will be plugged in at a later date? Or do you want to just hold the whole article for the
Meeting.
assume go? You just assume hold?
Yeah.
Okay.
So as part of the discussion, does anybody have any discussion with this article? I know I had questioned previously the 90,000 for the Affordable Housing Trust. Affordable Housing Trust was at the meeting last night, made a presentation, CPC. They are not receiving the entire bucket as they have in the past 3 or 4 years, where it was just a blanket gift to them. This is, and Anna, correct me if I'm wrong, if I misstate anything, this is for their rental assistance, and they're going to be entering into an agreement with the CPC for the use of the funds, and if they don't spend all the funds, what happens to those funds.
That is correct, yes.
With that, I have less of an issue with it. I still would like the Affordable Housing Trust to present some type of budget and some plan for spending and when they're going to spend down that $1 million that they have. But I kind of have less of a hang up with this 90,000 now than I did previously with 100% of the bucket going up. We're actually going to start building up that bucket a little, and I think when Fred and I explained it to CPC last night, they understood that they are in control of this money. It's their money, and they should be expecting the Affordable Housing Trust to make a pitch to get those monies and not just give, so.
So you're holding off on your vote? Is that what I heard?
Yeah, I think we'll hold off. Does anybody have any?
We voted on this already, so
Oh, you did?
We did,
can
but-
vote
You may
contingent
wanna
on
hold off.
it.
Yeah, I think we should amend, because there's new information now, and I think we should
So how do we?
rescind the vote.
Yeah.
Rescind the recommendation until
Please
further
rescind the
information.
recommendation.
I'm not
Yep.
understanding why we're, on what grounds are we holding?
Because we don't know what the final number is.
We don't recommend something that we don't know.
But only
what we're
because of the
recommending.
orchard?
No, no.
No, there's-
Webster
Excuse me,
Farm.
Webster property.
It's because we don't know.
Which is
the-
either an up or down, and so the number is the number. If it's going to be here, there's going to be a number, and we're going to approve it based on our conversations. And if there's not a number, then we don't have any objection to this article now.
Yeah, I don't, I'm with you on the, we can rescind it if the finance committee comes right before town meeting and says, here's a bunch of reasons why
Well,
we
and
didn't
we
rescind it.
may,
And we'll
we
say,
may have
okay,
that
well,
meeting
let's-
with the three parties.
Right.
I don't think
and
we have to
then we
rescind
could
it.
figure it out then, too.
I guess part of my question is, how are you going to show this in the town meeting booklet? Is it taking Webster out, in which case the finance committee can give a recommendation? If you're leaving it with XXX to be determined type of thing, then I don't think we can give a recommendation now.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what the number is, so I probably put in something like a TBD or something like that. I probably check with town council as to what it would be. So I think that's part of the dilemma. So I think conceptually, 95% of this article's fine, but it's that other 5% we just wouldn't have the information for. That would have to be a substitute motion.
So in either case, you're going to bring it another motion to town
That's
meeting for
correct,
it,
correct,
yeah.
right. So either with it or without. So the article, so the recommendation would be that, that the select board and finance committee would be making a recommendation before town meeting.
So
I mean, we can decide right now as a board, what are you comfortable with?
I'm comfortable voting it, and then we're going to revote it anyway, right? Because you're going to have to revote it when you have the numbers. It's just better if it's printed in the book that we recommended it, right? And if we didn't like the Webster numbers, wherever the numbers come in, and we're going to revote it anyway. It's just what's printed in the book. It just makes it look like we're supporting the rest of it, right? I do have one question for Ryan. Based on what Steve was saying, doesn't there have to be another number for the Webster property that's outside of debt service potentially? If we are paying down the,
I think it'd be included in that. It's just coming out of the open space buckets.
Right.
it's just listed under debt service, so I wasn't sure if there needed to be one that, like the down payment.
Right, so as of, earlier today, I mean, I didn't attend the CPC meeting, so that's another nuance that I didn't plan for. So again, it'll be a
CPC didn't vote last night to do it, so.
Right, so
You're right, yeah.
They're not
That's another
even-
thing that's up in the air, so.
opining on this RWF because they don't have a number, so.
Okay, so I should say, so the CPC I should just take off in terms of them making a recommendation. They did.
I don't believe they did on this, because they don't know.
Prior.
Yeah.
Okay.
This will be our triple meeting on
Right.
the week before.
But Mark, you're right. You would have to then, if it is some sort of pay down, that would have to be part of the amended article. Because again, up until, again, hearing that in this meeting, I didn't know that was another nuance.
Well, I just didn't know if there needed to be another line
There
item under your.
would, if they were going to pay down, so, yes.
Yeah, I just assume, at least FinCom not vote, because if we do vote, it looks like we're supporting it, and people won't get that, we can say it's caveated, but people aren't gonna get that. So, we're not recommending until we know what we're recommending.
Is
I
it
tend
possible to put in the warrant that we support what is printed with real numbers, but we are holding a final say until we know the XXX numbers?
You could,
Can you explain that?
You could put that in. So, I mean, the finance committee is withholding support at this point until such time that the Webster parcel
Just get some money.
appraisal was back and the determination is made to move forward, Steve and I could work on that
Yeah,
language.
I mean, the finance articles, we typically don't recommend until we get a recommendation from the finance committee, and in this case, CPC also, so I don't think that makes sense as well, but.
Yeah,
With numbers.
I think
With numbers,
I'd
yes.
rather wait on this until we have a number.
So, under what circumstances, though, do you not recommend it? That's the,
That's the part I'm curious.
if the CP, if you voted the previous article that said you support buying the Webster property for X, then how do you not recommend this one if you voted the other one? Regardless of what those numbers come in. Huh?
We haven't voted yet. I mean,
They haven't voted the Webster one yet. They're gonna do it all at the
Okay.
meeting right before town meeting.
we don't have a number. We don't know if the person's gonna go through.
The select board, you're good, what do you want to do? Okay. So,
I don't think strongly one way or the other, honestly. I'm okay with leaving the recommendation in. But
The only issue with the recommendation would be if something changed where they said, no, we don't recommend it, and then we'd have to say,
I don't-
we're just kidding, we're just kidding.
I'm fine leaving the recommendation in, because we're gonna vote something anyway.
Sounds like we have three people.
Okay.
I
So we'll just keep,
practice. I don't think it's good practice to vote for something we know the numbers.
If CPC hasn't voted on this,
That's another issue.
then I'm okay with rescinding my recommendation.
okay, let's rescind it.
All right,
you get that right. Let's rescind it and move
and
on.
remember too, the rescinding is only just, it's just a pause, you're gonna still take a motion.
Exactly.
Of course, yeah.
So, okay,
So
all right,
we-
so.
we voted.
There'll be a
we voted
recommendation
that.
one
Do you
way or
need
the
a
other.
motion to rescind?
I think there seems to be a consensus among the board that we'll hold
Thank
off,
you.
And sit on the time. Okay.
Forthcoming.
Okay, that's good. Okay, let's move on from that then. Okay, Article 7 is the selling of the Nagog Hill Orchard. So we've kind of going back and forth with town council. I know, Karen, you were seeking some additional information in terms of making sure that all the parcels that we're looking to sell are represented accurately. So I think we're close on this.
Yeah.
You know, so I
Brad
would.
weighed in, so I think the recommendation I gave earlier is correct.
Okay, okay. So I think this reflects that, but.
So we'll be removing part of from 102A and 104, so it'll be the
Because
entire
it'll,
lot.
oh, okay, part of, okay, got it?
And we'll be updating the acreage to 56 acres. from
Yes, because that came in
49.
late, 56,
Yeah.
yes, okay, okay. With the updated one that came out that I forwarded to the select board. So
Exactly.
these are just, it's just basically accurately depicting what portions of the property are being sold. So that's all, the concept is still the same. So I would also ask for Matthew and Karen, I did put in the description here, which I basically took a lot from the RFI, so I was kind of speaking from, with the, hopefully with the working group's voice. in
Yeah,
that,
I read that, and I thought that was accurate.
Okay.
An accurate summary.
Yeah, good. All right, so I just want to make sure in that. But otherwise, with those updates and making sure we have the correct references to the parcels, does anyone have any other questions?
Are you going to put a visual in the printed matter that you're going to ship out?
I could provide one if.
I think it'll be clearer to people what you're suggesting, rather than 102, 104, what
Yeah.
part of 103 or whatever.
I can,
The plan
yeah,
from David Ross?
I can provide you with a map, if you'd like to put one in.
We can do that.
I just think it would help
Yeah, I agree.
people to understand.
And it may also to, thinking about slides for town meeting.
Yeah, and I'll include that in my presentation as well for the, right
Okay,
before this
yeah,
article.
There you go, there you go, right, okay, good.
I'd actually like to see that before making a recommendation on this, frankly. I'd like to see, is it the whole kit and caboodle? Is that what's
It's all of the
called out?
APR land, and I can show you a map
Okay.
that,
All right, so it's not-
plus the house and the barn.
Both barns or just the upper barn?
No, just the upper barn. The lower barn is on conservation land,
I thought it was on
or
municipal.
self-held land. It's not on the APR.
Right. Right, but so everything on the Selbrd Dublin Road side of the street, the house, the old barn down the hill, the lake, that side, is non-APR.
I'm not sure that's right. I'm not sure that's right. I know the house is not, but I think that the peach trees down below might be in the APR. I can pull up,
I think the peach trees are over towards Dr.
okay,
Johnson's house.
you're right, apple trees, but I can pull up the map I made and show you, but
Yeah.
it's a patchwork, so.
Yeah, I would like to see that, because I think there is a scenario under which if we do sell everything that has the APR on it, we could create open space, create, like I've always talked about, the Acton Arboretum, create the Littleton Arboretum on the land that we retain, because it doesn't have to be agricultural. You know, we can repurpose it, create open space that.
I mean, it's not
everybody's-
agricultural now.
Correct.
It's not planted with trees, it's meadows, forest land.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. We could put the Littleton Arboretum, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
on that property. And I personally wouldn't want to recommend the article without knowing exactly which parcels are included.
So the only parcels that are included are under agricultural restriction, the parcel that, and the carve-outs from those parcels that are for the barn and the house, because those weren't traditionally allowed under APR.
Yeah, right.
The barn is going to go into APR. The house is going to go into historical preservation restriction, hopefully. So the only things we're selling are what's under APR and what is needed to be able to run a farm, right? You need a farmhouse and you need a barn.
Yeah.
So the blue is the APR land in that. And actually, that's not quite accurate because there's a carve-out for the house and the barn right by the intersection of about 3 acres there,
It
but,
should be put back in.
but generally speaking, the blue is what we would,
Yep.
yeah.
That's what I expected, actually. That's what I was hoping.
It's actually
What's the red?
lot 5 is.
There's some, it's self-help, yeah, it's like conservation land that we bought with, I think that might be the federal funds, it's a patchwork, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that the land that we went up and looked at,
Yeah.
there was all kinds of trash
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
I didn't realize that wasn't part of it.
No, that's not part of the APR.
Would
Behind the
maintain,
parking lot.
I'm not sure, I don't recall what maintain means. I can revise this to make sure that it's more clear, but I think this is not part of the APR, but it was maintained as part of the orchard.
in wetlands,
That is not part of the APR,
Because it couldn't be building.
but it's also, Sarah told me that that's not designated wetlands either, Sarah Seward. So, again,
It just never got included.
I will clarify this.
The acreage, what was the numbers on it?
50.
So it's
Between the,
49 of APR and then about 6 2/3 in unrestricted, currently unrestricted, that'll be dealt with, as I mentioned earlier.
all right.
yeah, the number 10 there's not where the barn is. The lower
The
barn's not on there.
RFIs aren't actual, like, offers to buy, they're just what they would do with it.
So an RFI is market research.
So you don't know if when you got an actual offer, there could be like still an expense to the town where somebody could say, I'll buy it for this, but you have to do this.
That's true.
Okay,
That's true.
okay, just wondering.
This is just one step. We had talked that fall town meeting would be still a good fit for your committee in case we do have an expense for that.
We're gonna lease offer at that time if someone crazy came in to lease.
Knocking down the door.
Yeah.
How would the boards like to proceed with the recommendations?
So this is given the select board authority to sell, so we don't have to go back to town meeting after this. This is it.
It gives the okay, right?
Yeah, keep going. So is this even, do we, it's not clear to me that we should even vote on this. I don't think we need to, but.
Sorry.
Okay, so Finance Committee's gonna pass on making a recommendation?
Wait. Sorry, I was distracted.
The finance committee just felt
Yeah,
like they
it's not a
wouldn't
financial
recommend-
article per
Oh,
se,
okay.
because They can
Sorry.
vote later on.
I thought I missed something much different, okay.
Anything financial would be something that would.
Totally
hit us in the
understood,
fall.
all good.
Okay.
So you just have to remove them from the article.
Yep, that's right.
Ryan just made an offer and you missed it.
All right, let's look for a motion. Look for a motion to recommend this article.
I move that the select board recommend Article 7.
Second.
Moved by Matthew, second by Karen. All those in favor?
Aye.
And friendly amendment with the changes that we
Yes.
talked about, as well as adding a map to the article.
Yeah, as much information as we can give everybody is going to be helpful.
Yeah, this is one of those articles that's going to get,
On your map.
Yeah, a little information
it's a
rather-
third
Yes,
rail.
that's a good call, yes.
It's not quite, so.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right.
If I can make a suggestion to your committee is do LCTV and
Yeah.
get it last.
So we have we're having a public information session Sunday, the 20, it's before town meeting.
Yeah.
It's a Thursday night, I believe, in early April. And we are we have a presentation, we're gonna send out an email blast, we're gonna do LCTV to make sure that everybody understands what we're doing.
Thursday, April 25th,
I was right.
6 to 8
Please said
p.m.
Sunday first.
Yeah, I did, and I also said early April, so I was wrong twice.
But other than that.
But in my defense,
Completely correct.
I did make this cool map.
You nailed it too.
Dang straight.
Okay.
You
So
didn't
we
even
have-
color outside the lines that much.
So we've got direction on
What time is
Article
it?
7, so
6
thank
to
you
8.
for that. We'll, again, the Finance Committee, the only party making a recommendation will be the Select Board, and unanimous support, okay? All right, very good. So Article 8 is a placeholder article. We should be receiving, I think that tomorrow is the day when the GC bids are due on Indian Hill. So as we've discussed with both committees, the effort would then be to have a conversation with the Finance Committee and the Select Board with that information in hand, how you'd want to proceed. So the bids also have two add alternates. One is the roof, and the other is the solar tubes on the second floor. So there may be ways, even with those bids, in what that would look like. So my sense is that we'll be working actively with our OPM between, over the next week or so to come back to you with some thoughts about where we're at, and we can determine next steps from that. At least in terms of going to, at least what's going to print is, we're just making an assumption there'll be a substitute motion at that time, presuming both groups want to move forward with it.
We're not voting on it tonight.
Right, yeah, we're
Yeah.
right. So basically, the way it's written right now, the Finance Committee and Select Board recommendations.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
And as far as article, let me go back one article, so just to be clear, the ad hoc NAGOG working group did unanimously.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's actually in the
Is it?
description. I could put them down too, in terms of recommending the article.
Well, it's their article, so.
We're not a real board, so.
It's your article, though, so.
We can present, well, it's not on the agenda, but.
Karen's saying, you know how many hours we put into this? We're a real board.
No, I was just thinking that we haven't presented the language of the article to
That's
the
true.
working
We
group,
haven't,
so. But we can do so.
We can do so on
Okay.
next meeting.
Yep. I would,
Ryan, when those bids come in tomorrow, I know Joe wanted to talk about them, but can that be sent to us?
So there's a clearinghouse, it's an electronic clearinghouse, via something that's called Project Dog. So I think I'm going to need to be relying on the vendors to put everything together, so maybe a few days.
Fair enough, yeah.
Thanks, Doug.
Is there a date that you'd be comfortable getting back together with this August board?
It might be,
To review it and you actually get a number in here for you?
We have another select board meeting next Monday, maybe there might be something we'd add to the agenda.
8th and 22nd,
To see where it's
sure,
at.
right?
Yep.
It'd be nice if we can get it printed in here with an exact number.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be, I don't want to be overly ambitious with that, because I want to give you enough time to be able to consider it and be thorough on what that looks like, so.
But this is a hornet's nest article, so I think giving the people as much warning as you can is imperative. And I think a number in the printed report is really important on this one, because it just has the potential to blow up in town meeting. So if we have to meet again or whatever, once you guys have a number prior to going to print, then I think we should try to do that, because you're gonna run into a real storm if we end up going to town meeting and not having a number published and then handing out another pink sheet with a number. I just don't think this is an article to do that with.
Okay. Totally
It's
agree.
already blew up a couple times in town meeting, and I don't think you want to have that happen again.
Okay, well, let's see what we can do, but again, maybe come back
whatever.
with Monday. I wouldn't, so, can't really go much later than that anyway, so, for the document, but, okay, see what we can do.
So let's assume we're joining you on Monday.
Pencil it in, folks, pencil it in, so, okay.
Well, you only have to join on Monday if you want to, I mean, we can just fill in whatever number they got back, right? Unless you want to vote a
Yeah.
recommendation on Monday.
Well,
I'd like to have it as, personally, I'd like to have it as a
This is when you want buttoned
conversation.
up, Mark. If you don't have it buttoned up, it's gonna blow up. I just.
Okay, noted, Fred, so we'll see what we can do on that.
You looked into the crystal ball.
Seen it before, don't want to say it
Yeah.
again.
We have to be all members of both boards, yea verily, or it doesn't go. Yeah.
Okay, I got it, all right. Okay, Article 9 is the MBTA Community Zoning Bylaw. So the planning board is planning on meeting on Thursday night, and we hope that they will be able to provide some sort of recommendation and an article at that time. This is basically in more as a placeholder. But where the select board and the finance committee don't typically opine or make recommendations on planning board articles, I don't think you necessarily have to do anything here, but I just wanted to give you an update on where that stands so that you'll know where that is. And my sense is I'll be having a conversation with Maren about this on Friday as to where they are, so.
I just want to just toss out in terms of Fincom, generally Fincom doesn't take any position on planning board articles. But if this is done wrong, we stand to potentially lose so much grant money that, to me, this is absolutely a fiscal article. So I think Fincom should opine on this one.
The MBTA came out with, and thank you for sharing that, Jim, from the, what is it, Senior Policy Coordinator, Policy and Government.
AG office.
AG office. Really, they finally created a website dedicated to the MBTA communities, which really has all the FAQs. Anyone can go there and look at this, and it's very clear what's going to happen if we don't do it. They don't beat around the bush. You can read through this entire thing. So I somehow, we've got to get that word out as well. And I don't know if that website that you shared can be shared somewhere else.
Maybe Jim can
Because
share it with the planning.
it's a great read.
Sure.
And you can just keep digging, and you can see some of the discussion, and people say, well, it's not really the law, they can't be. No, it is. It's very clear. They define it very well.
With hyperlinks.
So I would definitely suggest to look at it so that between now and then, when we're asked, you can defend. We've got to do something here. This isn't one of those things.
To me, I think that's the only position that the finance committee should take on this, is we need to do something. I don't care which plot of land you pick a plot and vote the damn thing.
Not everybody feels.
I'm sorry, but from a finance standpoint.
Yeah. No, sure. The ramifications to Brian's point is very, very significant.
And I think it makes it more.
To me, beyond that, it doesn't matter.
I agree, but I think it conveys to town meeting that if FinCom is weighing in, well, why is FinCom weighing in? They never weigh in on this. It's like, because the implications are so huge.
And that needs to be stated, I think.
Right, and I think we should
Somehow,
recommend,
some way,
yeah.
And I think saying just pick a plot is, that way lies.
Yeah, maybe Fred doesn't.
That way
speak to
lies
it.
the abyss, right? Like, if you take a stand on this specific, article, that's different from saying, we don't care what you do, just do something. Because the latter, that's not gonna move anything forward, honestly. That's what we'll be doing.
Then that's up to the planning board to bring something
Fair enough.
that's palatable. From a finance committee standpoint, I know which plot you pick.
But they did the forum, and I think they got a lot of good feedback and got a
Yeah,
consensus from that.
And I was in the forum, and I put my 2 cents in, and I picked the plot that I would like. and
Please do
all
the
that.
survey if you're out there.
Yeah, I sent in the survey. I think it's from a town perspective, I think it can be a win-win. But which plot it is, from a finance committee standpoint,
And here it is, it's a zoning article, the planning board is going to make a determination on what goes.
right, and
What gets-
where the group thinking
Yep.
says it should be.
I mean, we're steps ahead of where we were last meeting, for sure.
I would hope so.
Sure that we can all sit here and say that it should have been more work done. I wish the MBTA Communities website had been put up 9 months, a year ago when or whenever Charlie Baker left office and this became law. But anyway, here we are. We're up against the clock now, so.
I'll say I have the same concern on this article as Fred mentioned on the other one, that this one, without it being completely buttoned up and printed in the warrant, buttoned up, is an awful quagmire to go down. And I don't know what's going to happen on town meeting floor if this isn't printed up with almost no modifications. That's my concern.
Well, to the chairs, we do have the vice chair of the planning board here. Anna, can you save us from this quagmire?
I've been trying.
You have something to add?
All I wanted to say to the concerns voiced by Fincom members is that I think it is understood that we need to have something submitted by the end of this calendar year, and that we would all like it to be sooner rather than later. I think that we have, from the work group and then from the surveys, we have plenty of data to be able to use to make that decision and move forward. As they say, the devil is in the details, and so it is important to have details in there as to specifically what we want, what we can push on, because this is very different than a special permit. This is essentially a by right type of development that will eventually go up. So that's one of the reasons for more of the detail. So that's all I had to comment on.
Potentially. Would I be correct that the hope is the planning board will have something on, after your meeting on Thursday night and agree to the parcels you'll be looking at? Because as I've related to both the finance committee and select board, the hope would be then, say, Friday morning, we've got an article that would be in and meet Mark's concern, which is that we'd actually have the article with the parcels in it that's being recommended and put forward by the planning board.
Just it's more than just the parcels, it's whatever you're putting the zoning restrictions on those parcels as, right? Whatever the development density is, any other restrictions has to be ready to be printed in the warrant. If you remember the November one, this was like a 10 or 15 page article, right? So whatever those 10 or 15 pages are, or however many pages, have to be ready to be printed in the article.
So do you know what the status of that is?
In the warrant, yes.
So there is a current bylaw draft that has been provided to us for review, and it, as Mr. Rambacher says, it's very similar to the one in November. It's just redlined for what changes were made as a result of that.
And red line with potentially for the new parcels that you'd be looking at.
And density.
And density, is that?
Yeah. So again, is that enough information? Personally, the one thing that is still missing is design guidelines, just simply because once we put that in there, if we don't have an opportunity to add those guidelines in, and I don't know how we would, once we ship it off to the approving authority, I think it's going to be too late.
You mean without a
We don't-
district, like a form-based code type district?
Exactly.
We really can define.
Exactly.
Yeah. I have to believe we have to trust people to work with the developers to make sure that happens. I'm naive, I know. But, I mean.
Well,
what's the
it's one of the
option?
reasons why I will be asking for that on Thursday night.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And much like the orchard, if there's any way that a sketch of whatever parcel or parcels the process is recommending, I think, again, get people as much information as you can prior to town meeting. And this will go out to every single household. It's probably the best vehicle we have to get information out. If you have that information in time, if we could get a small map of the suggested properties that you're asking people to vote on it, I think that would be very positive.
I mean, it's funny that probably the best information available to the public is to watch that last meeting when we were all in the room. It's crazy that it should probably been a planning board meeting, you know.
Are you referencing the workshop?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the discussion really happened, and the lots, all the plots were really discussed, and everybody had a chance to speak, and it was, I think, if you watch that, you can get a good idea what's going on down.
But more people will get this document.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
watch
absolutely.
the TV show. Yeah, every person in town gets it, whether they come to town meeting or not.
Right.
Or whether they read it or not, but at least you can say,
Yeah.
every household in town got the information. So you're not,
You're never going to get enough out there. I mean, we still have people saying, well, the road's not wide enough. I mean, we know there's a good-sized road going in there with bike paths and sidewalks and everything. That was defined 8 years ago, so.
And perhaps to join your two ideas, perhaps if we can put the suggested map and then also maybe even a link to watch the video,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
just identify what the URL is.
Yeah.
Maybe folks can then do that
Yeah.
in the 2 weeks
The thing
before
is-
town
The
meeting.
thing is with that meeting, it was a long time before there was any sort of consensus
Yeah.
emerging, if there was. So I can see someone watching that meeting and people are saying, I want parcel 148, I want parcel 152, and then someone watching that coming away saying, well, they're not ready, they haven't decided.
Well, the survey is really the driving force now.
Sure.
That's going to reach the most,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So that's going to define what you have on Thursday night, I'm assuming, what you're going to present.
Right.
Correct.
And we have not, the planning board members have not yet seen.
Is that closed today?
the
When did that
results.
close?
I think it closed on Friday.
Friday? Oh, so don't go out and vote little tonight,
Actually, no, I take it back, it closed on Sunday.
Sunday.
So I think what I'm hearing is that the planning board is going to be discussing this article at their meeting on Thursday. There's a draft that's going around that'll probably be something akin to what we saw in the fall, like an 8-pager with the updates. So presuming then the planning board comes up with a recommendation at that time, we will include that in the warrant with what you provide, and then we'll just have, at that point, it would just be the planning board recommendation. So, and again, I think the finance committee can then come back on the floor town meeting if you want to, and add that recommendation if you're so inclined. So, and then the select board does, I mean, I don't know if the select board wants to make any recommendation on this, either, later or what have you. Gary, do you want to just, I don't know if the select board wanted to vote on this.
Yeah, we were just kind of discussing in the sidebar.
It's not one of the ones that we highlighted as not having taken a
Right.
position on, but that's because it's a planning board article, we
Correct.
don't typically take a position.
I feel like I have the same gut feeling that Ryan had mentioned about the repercussions of it, but we also know that if something tragic happens in May and this blows up, we'll be making a recommendation in November at our next meeting, for sure, so.
I think we can even speak to it, at least.
Yeah,
And,
Yes.
yeah. just as long as people understand the urgency.
Okay.
But we do have to remember that one of the reasons it failed the last time is because it was really put, you need to do this or else type of thing.
Right.
And people didn't
Perceived as a threat.
like that. And you have to
Yeah.
appeal to be rational.
Well, it didn't have this board support, not only on paper, but it was, even in the discussion, we weren't,
There was a consensus among the
there wasn't
select board.
consensus among the select board either. so.
Again, there's value in us being in lockstep. If we actually are in lockstep, we need to present that, because that helps convince town meeting.
It's the Brian and Chuck show.
Let's go.
We can take, for the second time we're agreeing on something.
It's like Laverne and Shirley.
We're not going to do anything.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Just want to clarify, okay.
Shemizel.
So just in the print, should it say planning board, select board, and FinCom recommendations are forthcoming? Or do you just want it to leave it at the planning board?
Just planning board, I think.
Yeah, I think at that point,
And
yeah.
then speak to it.
Right.
Tim will give us an opportunity to speak to it.
Okay. All right. So is it okay to move on then?
Yes.
Okay,
Please do.
sure. Article 10 is departmental revolving funds, so we've checked in with town accountant and with various departments. This is the spending level for these revolving funds, and select board has already voted on this.
Article 10, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're good.
All right, so now we start getting into the water and sewer articles that we discussed earlier with Nick. So Article 11 is the revised water article to the earlier question that was asked. We can look into making sure how the numbers should be represented and whether in addition to or net. So I think that's the same on both of those articles. So Mark will follow up on that, but otherwise the
11, 12, and 13.
11, 12, and 13, correct, 11, 12, and 13, yes.
So moved as long as the math is correct.
Yep.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? 11, 12, and
Make the
13.
same motion.
We voted.
We're all on these already? Oh, I thought we didn't. Okay.
There have been some changes.
Yeah, but that's fine. Yeah, okay.
Nothing, actually, that's a good question.
15 and 16 are the next ones that we haven't taken a position
Okay.
on.
Nothing changed that anybody's concerned about, correct?
13, okay. So, yes, okay, so that brings us to 14, which is the acceptance of the authorization to use the prudent investment rule for town trust funds. Select board has voted to recommend. And I did put the trust fund commissioners recommending it, because you put it forward.
Absolutely.
There you go, okay.
Article 14, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
We're good.
Okay. So Article 15 is the utilization of $40,000 from the trust fund grants for school relaxation mindfulness room at Russell Street, and then $4,000 for the animal assistance care program. I think, the select board took a pass on that one. I'm trying to remember why, but I think there still would be a vote from both
We didn't have the numbers.
I think we needed some information from the school committee on the numbers,
Okay,
or from the
okay.
school department, sorry.
Does the trust fund have
Yeah.
anything to add? Because I think that the select board was looking for a little more information from the school committee as to where this came from, or,
So there are 4 or 5 different trust funds whose purpose is to provide funding for a school project. And so each year, the commissioners reach out to the school department for a project that would be funded outside of their operating budget. So it's not something that they would normally be doing. And the special ed coordinator, I forget her name,
Yeah, Lynn.
Lynn.
No.
Lynn Snow.
Lynn Snow.
She came up with this program. It's a replica of something that they do at Sugar Lane currently, and their goal is to be able to do this over the years to each of the schools that they have. So this is The last project that we did, for example, was, that was funded, was redoing the library at the high school. They renovated that maybe 5 years ago, and that's a project that was done. Past two projects that the school department came for was,
An outdoor classroom.
oh, an outdoor classroom at Shaker Lane was
during
one,
COVID.
and one during COVID didn't go through. It was, I forget the name of the program, but it was being able to video conference with other schools all across the globe. But that never really happened because of COVID. But this is something that should happen every year. It hasn't happened in a couple of years, so that's why the amount is a little greater than what it normally is.
I think it's appropriate, being Autism Awareness Day and Autism Awareness Month, that we vote to recommend this.
Move that the FinCom recommends it, approves it, whatever. Recommends.
Second.
One second, all in favor?
I move that select board recommends this article.
Second?
Moved by Mr. Leclerc. All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
And the trust fund commissioner.
Trust fund says yes as well. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I was just going to ask. Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. Article 16 is an amendment to the Oak Hill Stabilization Fund, basically allowing the town to add the maintenance of conservation land or preservation of water quality within the town. So it's basically expanding the use of the fund.
So one of the things that was in some of those emails that went across with ERIA, this is actually a 2/3 vote because it's changing the purpose of the stabilization fund.
We will update it accordingly. Okay, all right, thank you. So this came from the Conservation Commission because they're looking for more flexibility in terms of the uses of those funds. And then you'll see on Article 17 is the actual seeking an appropriation from that, presuming that Article 16 is in fact successful. So 16 has to be successful for Article 17 to occur.
And one of the things that was also in that email was that special purpose stabilization funds no longer need a 2/3 vote for withdrawal. It's just majority.
That came out of
Municipal finance.
state.
The municipal
Yeah, okay.
thing this past November. But general stabilization is still a 2/3 vote to take out.
Good, actually.
Well, you're gonna start seeing all these little stabilizations pop up.
Well, but general, it's okay, general, we want
Yeah.
some guardrails.
Yeah.
Move that FinCom approve 16 to 17.
Recommend.
So,
Recommend.
on 17, can we,
Let them finish their.
well, okay.
The second.
Aye.
We're good? 16, 17?
How do we get 17 so the projects that are CPC eligible aren't funded out of the Oak Hill Stabilization Fund and are funded from CPC funds instead? Things like boardwalks should be out of CPC, not out of the Oak Hill Stabilization. So why are we,
Where they're just not voting to use that money and keep taking it out for because it's easier to just use that.
it's easier for them to use this, but the CPC
Yeah.
makes more sense.
The CBC takes a lot longer though, so depending on the size of the project and the maintenance.
I understand the
That's how they presented it to us. why they wanted
I
to do
understand the mowing and the invasive species
Yeah.
control, that it's not covered by CPC, but I believe improving the parking lot and the boardwalks is probably something that could be under CPC. So,
I think Jerry's, if I could, I think Jerry's got the right point with that. It's that they were thinking of this more as a generic thing for the things that aren't covered, and it's only limiting you to that, to this allocation at this time. So I think they wanted it to be just a tranche of funding just to start the process. So anything else that you do from here, we can provide guidance that if there's otherwise CPC funding for something more substantive in nature, I think that they understand that. So, but I think this is giving more of that flexibility.
and is the 20,000 something that has to be spent in this fiscal year?
Well, no, it would be a warrant article, so it's there, and it can go forward to the, to the subsequent fiscal years, so I
Their
think.
rules,
Yeah.
town policies, if it's not used in 3 years, it's closed out.
Yeah, or if they express an intention. I mean, it's again, they're giving them the kind of the flexibility that the commission.
I think your recommendation is appropriate when they come in front of our boards to discuss their budget, what they're.
But they're not discussing any of this. This is money that you're giving them to spend however they want on these projects, when they shouldn't be spending money from these funds, they should be spent from the CPC. Right? I mean, if you go back, before you recommended Article 16, they couldn't even have mowed the grass there, right? So it's fair that they need the money to mow the grass, but the other things are things that should be funded from the CPC money. And the opioid stabilization then should instead be put into the CPC to fund those projects where you get the match.
Well,
Right.
it depends what your definition of improved parking lots is, like CPC can't fill potholes and that kind of thing, they could
Maintenance.
maybe
Yeah.
add
Yeah,
a
right.
parking
Doesn't
lot or
qualify,
thing.
yeah.
And then it also has to go, once CPC approves it, it has to go to town meeting, so timeline is why they, wanted to be able to do some of this, littler things.
It wasn't a $20,000 appropriation. I think it's a one-time $20,000 appropriation, so I think that it's, to do what they're looking to do, I think it's.
It's 15% of the balance of the fund, so. That's not being replenished.
Yeah, whatever the board wants to do here, as far as recommendations go, I mean, I don't know if they can get back to CPC between now and Monday to request that funding, so that's we're gonna have to make a decision or a recommendation.
I think the Conservation Commission has a good track record. I'm okay with,
But I mean-
as you say, one time,
It's not like
it's
that always
50% of
will.
that value, it's.
So discussion definitely needs to be had, I mean, going forward on it.
From an education standpoint.
Yeah, that could be that simple, these words mean something when we see it, well, what's parking lot, we just had 3 definitions of what, so.
And it has to Jerry's point, it has to qualify for one of the buckets.
All right,
So moving forward to Mark's point, next year, if they present an article or they want money out of this fund, they should come before both boards, just like somebody with a capital article should.
Exactly.
And then we can refer it to CPC if necessary.
Yeah. But let's
Is that
let
a
them
good
know
way?
that sooner than later.
Okay. So move that the select board recommend Articles 16 and 17.
Second.
moved by Matthew, second by Mark. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Can we for a loop? Used to you second.
And the finance committee recommended both. Okay, good. Article 18, this is all of our capital items. I would note, I have highlighted the police vehicle replacement piece. The reason I'm doing that is because the chief had stopped by my office and asked if we could broaden that. I think it was 2 cruisers, no, it was 2 cruisers and 1 admin vehicle, but what he's seeing, and that we've been experiencing sort of across the board, is that we're having a greater issue in trying to order vehicles and lead time that's coming in, so he had asked that that the article be worded in a way where he has flexibility.
So we're generalizing the article, just
Correct.
police vehicles.
Correct.
The amount isn't changing.
The amount's the same.
He's not increasing the fleet, he's replacing.
No, it's a determination amongst the fleet that he can get the turnaround that he believes that.
Before next town meeting.
For the next 2 town meetings. We've had some articles of DPW, which we've been waiting like a year and a half on a vehicle. It's really something, something our professionals have not seen, so that's changed there. So the select board did vote on this in the affirmative, but I just wanted to make you aware of that change, and if you were so inclined to have to revote it.
Move to recommend. He did that.
Second?
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
And the select board, again, if that's okay with you, would just keep it as a yes from before. Okay, good. Article 19, the 2 changes, I think we had put a new number in under the special injury and indemnity fund. I think it was $155,000 last time.
We just needed to lower that a little bit to balance a few things off. And then the other item is, we discussed the opioid piece. We're no longer going to do it as a stabilization fund, but in fact, we're going to be putting it in the opioid special revenue fund. I think both committees will need to vote on this.
Move that we recommend Article 19.
Second?
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
I move that we recommend Article 19.
Second?
Matthew, second by Karen, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Article 20 expands the senior center project article beyond design to include construction, which basically will free up, I believe, $267,000 for us to apply toward toward construction, should we still need it. The select board already voted to recommend.
Move that we recommend Article 20.
Second?
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Next piece is the PEG budget, and $458,006.
Move that we recommend Article 21.
Second?
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye. The pumpkin is waiting to
21?
take us home.
Okay, 22 is the updated FY25 compensation grid. So this is the change that we're making this year is an increase of 2.5%. Last year it was 2%. The other recommendation here is to remove Schedule D. Schedule D is our on-call firefighters. Right now, we're in the process of union negotiations with the fire union. So if we were to give this increase, we run the risk of our on-call firefighters getting paid more than our union firefighters for some time, because right now we don't have have the union agreement funded in this warrant. So the thought would be that we would hopefully have something that we could bring back in the fall and then do a retro payment at that time. So otherwise, this represents the updated schedule and lists the.
And the on-call folks are okay with that retroactive?
Well, they're not unionized, so they would essentially be, So we didn't ask their opinion. We just didn't want to create any sort of labor strife down at the fire department.
So I know the treasurer's office went through and updated Article 3 with the impact of the schedules here, so everything's in Article 3.
Great.
Well, they're on the one page, under Article 22, it says 2.5%.
Yeah, that's 2%.
But then
Yeah,
later it says
got
2.
Got it, Mark, yeah, thank you.
Okay, Brian.
Move that we recommend Article 22.
Second?
Moving second, all in favor?
I think the select board would need to vote on this one.
Move that we recommend Article 22.
Second?
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
I was just thinking that we do have a comp study, just so everybody knows. I don't know if it's directed at this, though, coming up this fall.
It would be, yes.
It is, yes. We have a third, our
Yes.
trying to hold true to that every 3 years we do a comp study, so this will be evaluated again this year, and we'll see where we stand with the rest of the communities.
Okay. Article 23 is a capital stabilization fund, so it's a transfer from free cash, about 1.5 million for the capital stabilization for our fiscal policies. Select board already voted.
No, I like saying it after you.
Okay, move that we recommend Article 23.
Second?
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Article 24 is a pay down from the capital stabilization fund before we bond 36 King Street, formerly known as the Indian Hill Music School. Select board has already voted to recommend this.
Move that we recommend Article 24.
Second?
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Article 25 is the creation of a school building stabilization fund and transfers $1,180,000 from free cash into this fund. Select board has already voted to recommend this.
So I had emailed Ryan with some change to this language. and it's not reflected here, but
Okay, I must have missed that, Steve. What do we, which?
I'd like to put this in here. So right after the general law quote here,
Mhm.
it's for the purpose of providing funds for the construction and/or rehabilitation of existing or new school buildings, comma, reducing the amount of existing non-excluded debt service and/or the amount of debt needed to be replaced when final debt issuance occurs for borrowing authorizations for school buildings.
You're the only one in the room who understands what you just said.
You're limiting the use. so-
Yeah, we're limiting the use specifically to
Got it.
school building projects.
Yep,
We can pay down construction costs for any project.
yep.
So whether it's Shaker Lane, whether it's the roofs, whatever we deem possible, we can use it for debt service for non-excluded debt. So if the roofs are placed for debt service, we could use it for that. We could go back and use it for the alumni field debt service if we like to.
But say what you can't use it. what you would
Can't
like
use
to
it for debt exclusion for two reasons. We have a debt exclusion stabilization account. And the other thing, if we did this, and we went through this with the exclusion account, we would have to keep this account at an interest rate below the level of the lowest excluded debt that we had. So trying to talk a bank into saying,
Yeah.
hey, just pay us 1% on these funds when they're paying 5% and everything else. Yeah, they love that,
Yeah.
but we're not making the money off of it. So we have an debt exclusion, debt service account that we can use. This is for everything else, and it's specific to school buildings. My goal in this is for you and I at some point to sit down with Justin and try and get him to come up with a plan to use their school choice funds to contribute to this. They're sitting on $3 million, they don't have a plan to spend. They really don't need to spend out of that account because they have a good appropriation from the town. I think little by little, they could possibly fund this as a way to draw down that school
Create a
choice
policy,
money.
yeah.
It's gonna take some
So,
negotiations with the school department to get them to see that, but it's in a directed fund for their use, and I don't see a problem with it. It's like the $400,000 that they turned back a couple of years ago, and unspent budget money, we put it towards the feasibility study for Shaker Lane. So it was a school purpose for that, so.
No, I mean, they're no different than we are, and holding these funds and stabilizations close. You know, you're expecting something to
And
happen,
that,
that's
and,
why.
you know, I applaud.
I know they have a plan, probably, I'm assuming there's a plan for that, but.
For saving those funds, it's a great use, and
Yeah.
for years, we got on their case for not having enough in that account,
Yeah.
and they were spending it down. Now they have a little too much in that
Okay.
account. So if everybody's okay with that purpose, I'd give the language back to Ryan.
Right,
He can-
right. And so the select board should probably revote it too.
Yeah.
So you said it would apply to like alumni fields, but I don't know how that counts as a school.
Non-excluded debt, yes.
No, how does it count as a school building, right?
It's a school project.
So, but it says a building fund. I mean, the track would be the same thing, right? Or it's just the wording of how those projects go. Other than that,
I was just trying to think of some non-excluded debt that we had, and that's the only thing we have
Yeah.
for any school right now.
no.
I
but-
mean,
I think-
you could put facility instead of building.
Yeah, I certainly do that. I'm getting to the point where I think that those roofs are going to have to be a borrowing, and we're not going to be able to fund it out of the capital program. If they all come at once and we have to do those things, I still think we should be getting in touch with MSBA for them to kick in for those projects.
That's a 30-year, though, I think we're just short. It's a 25-year, so we're just short. Right.
Yeah.
That's
Russell
what-
Street has to be,
I just know that was one of the issues when we brought it up. It wasn't.
maybe the high school is just getting there, but Russell Street certainly is 25 years old.
Yeah.
We didn't touch it when we did the rehab, the roof.
Oh, the roof, okay, yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay. So with Steve's amended language, can we get a motion?
Move that we recommend Article 25 with the amended language.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Yeah.
Okay.
Move that we recommend this article with the amended language.
Moved by Matthew, second by Chuck. All's in favor?
Aye.
Article 26 is the use of debt exclusion stabilization fund for the FY '25 excluded debt, and they're proposing to use $349,878.99.
We couldn't find the extra penny.
So I think both FinCom and Select Board
That's
waiting on
it's
the
a marketing
recommendation.
law.
And Brian, there's just one little typo in there.
Oh, please, yes,
Highlighted, it's 349, comma, not dot.
Oh, got it, thank you,
I just,
thank you. Thank you.
He's just being really precise with the
That's
sense.
fine, I appreciate it. That's it. If you see anything
lot of
else,
pennies.
please, yes. Takes a village, so, okay.
Oh, you don't think someone at town meeting would vote?
Or the AG's office will strike it down because it's, yeah.
It's also not a 2/3 vote now.
Oh, yes, that's right. Okay, deletes, all right, thank you.
Move that we approve, or recommend 26.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
As amended, yeah.
As
yeah.
amended.
As amended, yes,
As
yes.
amended by
Yes,
The
yes, yes.
Select board vote to recommend Article 26 as amended.
Second.
Matthew, second by Karen. All's in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, Article 27 is use of Transportation Network Company funds, Uber and Lyft rides. So Select Board has already voted to recommend this article.
Move that we recommend Article 27.
Moving second, all in favor?
Okay. Article 28 is a placeholder to fund collective bargaining agreements. We do not believe we'll have anything that will be able to go to print at this time, and so the recommendation, if there is one, will be made on the floor at town meeting. So basically, both the Finance Committee and Select Board recommendations are forthcoming. We wouldn't be able to make any recommendations, so keep that as is. My recommendation there. Okay. Article 29 is to authorize the withdrawal from the Neshoba Associated Boards of Health. We voted last year to fund continued presence with Neshoba Boards of Health. That's continuing through FY '25, but we're asking that that we remove ourselves from FY '20 as of FY '26.
Is it appropriate for us to vote on this one?
Now, there is a financial implication.
Okay, all right, then I vote to approve recommend.
And I'd second that.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Did we vote on this? Or
We're done.
You could vote on that.
We need to vote, yeah.
Yeah, I would vote.
I think we were
I
debating
think
whether or
you
not
would
we should.
debate, you're
do it.
right, you're right.
Move that Select Board recommend Article 29.
Second.
Moved by Matthew, second by Karen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Then we move into some of the citizen petition articles, which I think generally the Select Board and Finance Committee do not opine on. So that's Article 30, which is to amend general bylaw regarding marijuana establishments. So the recommendation is you take a pass on that. Article 31, citizen petition, public hearing requirements for town of Littleton projects. And Article 32 is voting access for Littleton residents. So we'll take a pass for the Finance Committee. Okay, very good, okay. We do have under Article 33, which is amend registered marijuana dispensaries and adult use marijuana establishment bylaws, updated language from town council on this. This is a 2/3 vote, as I understand. This is another article, Anna, you and the planning board are going to be discussing on Thursday night.
Correct,
So, again, this is, generally speaking, Select Board does not provide recommendations on planning board
No,
articles.
I might attend. Same thing I hold what I said last time. I go for, if that article before that citizen's petition passes on these carbon filters, and the reasoning for this entire article is based off of smell, then why does this need to even happen if we're already going to restrict any future growth facilities? That's all.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's common sense to me, but I know it won't be to everybody else, but
Well, if I may,
is there more to it than smell?
Article 33 is what I just got done reading. It really isn't to reduce odor, it's actually to reduce the number of.
Right. But the reason this article came forward, why is it even coming forward? What was why are we hindering a business
because there's no limit on grow facilities in town at
Okay.
all.
Yeah.
And I believe the planning board's thought.
But what was the,
I see what you're saying.
you know what I mean? Why we,
The original idea did come from a resident, in terms of trying to limit the number of cultivation facilities so that the odor would be minimized and concentrated
yeah.
in just one place, yeah.
I was just thinking when I saw the article, and I shouldn't even be speaking because it's not one that we're voting on, but I just was thinking if, I don't know, somewhere way down Constitution Ave or down, all of a sudden, no, you can't put one down there because we have a restriction on Monarch. We have a restriction. And it's, well, if the restriction was based on smell, what are we doing? I mean, that's all. But I'll make my piece on Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much welcome that.
Thank you.
So again, what you have here is where they are right now. The planning board may make alterations to this article on Thursday night, and we would then incorporate any of those changes that's voted on and recommended by the planning board on Friday morning.
And I'd recommend that if you do go through with this, and I agree that, the first point of it, you gotta tell people what the change is, you know, because I'm reading all this and it's like, okay, so what's that? Is it actually that you're, you know, changing a 2 to a 1, or you're adding a, you know, it's.
I totally agree. In fact, I sent an email to town council asking that they provide us with the red line version, because we don't know what the changes are. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'd say to you too, if you have any thoughts on the description too, that we put at the end, you know, to get to Brian's point and to help the town meeting, that's another place to focus people on, so, okay. Article 34 is to amend the King Street Common Zoning District. This is our current draft language. Again, the planning board will be discussing this on Thursday night, so, and then, not sure what the planning board will do, but again, we'll update it and add some Friday.
We wouldn't take a vote on that anyway.
Okay. And with that said, we're on a final article, Article 35. It is the permission to make transfers within the FY24 operating budget. Select board has already voted in the, to recommend.
Finish strong, Brian, finish
Okay,
strong.
okay, we recommend Article 35.
Yeah, second.
There's nothing to recommend, is
Well, there's nothing, that's a good point. Motion be made in the floor town meeting. So recommendations are forthcoming. We'll leave that at that. How's that? Very good, good catch again. I'm just making sure everybody's paying attention. It's getting late.
Oh,
so,
Brian, I'm sorry, Ryan, I'm still thinking of Brian, on Article 5,
Yeah.
in the little header there,
Yep.
you've got a slash after the
Oh,
FinCom,
yeah,
and
you're
you've
right.
got
That's at the committee.
one letter,
Yep.
regular on majority, and the rest are italicized.
Noticed that as well, actually.
You noticed that as well? And I thought, I'm not gonna bring that up, it's so tiny, but
No,
it
thank you,
seems
thank
that
you.
Ryan wanted the village commentary. So there you go.
You good?
So, but Ryan, on the Article 34, the planning board article on King Street, all of the text says that it's about a density bonus, but then the description says it's about the MBTA community, so. Is it independent of the MBTA communities, or is it tied to the MBTA communities? The text,
Got that one?
It is tied to the MBTA communities. It's tied in the sense that if, in the event that the MBTA communities article passes, this is a moot point. This goes away. But in the event it does not pass, then that option of increasing that density, the density bonus from 20 to 25 units.
so nothing in the text says anything about MBTA communities except the description. I don't understand how these things go together and how this doesn't add confusion.
Well, the planning board is going to just be discussing this, as we all know, on Thursday night, and there will probably be a change of presentation, maybe to the point of withdrawal.
Let's talk Thursday.
Okay.
We did have another agenda item. I would rather put that off for Monday. I don't know if that is something that has to be, just the signing of the articles.
Oh, yeah, so we can hold off on
I
that.
just
I
want
think-
people to hold and think about.
No, that's fine, that's fine. And the only other question, anything else of the order? I know you wanted to sort of front load a lot of those pieces
Yeah, I
there.
think
Is
you
there any
did
other
that.
thoughts on in terms of the order otherwise?
And I mean, I will open it up for input for the moderator.
Yeah, no, I like what the board has done as far as mixing up the order and kind of front-loading with some of the articles that we know are going to generate discussion, because they already have at previous town meetings in some cases. I just think we'll probably go in 2 nights and maybe longer, but I'd hate to hit that stretch of like 3 citizen petitions and 2 zoning amendments in a row on night 2. So if we could break up that last block of articles at the end, I think, it could be pretty slow going if that's what we're looking at on Saturday night.
Yeah, why don't we move 34?
Why don't we move 34 to 3, and then we can have an article.
Yeah, there you go, man, yeah.
Thank you, yeah.
See, I'm
No.
I love it,
You know,
Jeff.
it actually happened many years ago. We ended up with an Article 3, and Ken Adam and Mike Knupp never let me forget it. So it's like, we're always going to have Article 4, we're never going to have an Article 3.
Thank you.
Yeah.
These people were giving me grief about that.
It's the board's call.
So recommendation to move it up to,
Move what up?
Article 34.
Article 34.
That's number 4 and everything slides.
Well, it's usually 3, but anyway.
Yeah, make Article 34 Article 3.
Continuity of articles.
And then I don't know
Move an
about
article
those.
up, I would move 29.
Oh, gosh. Can we go home now? I make a motion, we go home. We're done, right? We're done. We're done.
We have an Article 4, so all's right with the world.
All's right with the
All right with
world.
it.
Well, if everybody's okay with 3 citizen petitions in a row, and plus everyone's going home by then, and then, and 2 zoning articles, it could be pretty, you might just want to sprinkle them in a little earlier, that's all.
Yeah.
And you could authorize the town
They do draw
administrator
that
and his staff to
discussion.
do it. and-
I guess I moved the marijuana zoning article earlier, because that's likely to have.
But we don't
some-
want to put it in front of the, yeah, as long as the other, that planning board article is behind it. right?
Yes.
That could be some
Yes.
discussions.
But those two could go next to each other, in the middle somewhere.
So, we're talking about the zoning
The
article.
the carbon filters and the marijuana zoning article from the planning board.
So,
Move 33 next to 30?
okay, after or before?
Yeah.
Move the dispensary?
Yeah.
Just in here?
Or move them both up to
Or
Tim's
move them
point,
both
move
up,
them
I
both
see.
up to the middle.
It would be nice, like, to get to, if we're at 10:30, and then we can just say, all we have left is
Change the order of the floor on the
real
line.
easy articles. We can just hopefully those all get voted out anyway.
So what if we put, say, 33 first, and then the citizen petition regarding the filters right after that, at like, say, Articles 16 and 17? That sound about right?
No, the carbon filters has to come before 33.
That's what I think.
Well, not necessarily, I mean, there's a question to Gary's point.
They're independent of each other.
They are. I don't want to, I'm connecting them because I'm just saying why are we doing
Because
that?
because if the planning board article passes, then I think the carbon filter article is to some extent moot, although maybe not.
No. If you're,
Yeah, no, that's true, you're right, I got you.
Right.
Carbon has to go in front of that article.
right.
Okay, you want to put carbon in front of it? Okay, so it would be,
33 and then 30.
okay.
If it was 16 and 17 or something like that.
So, yeah, so 30, then 33. Okay, so you want 30 to go first and then 33?
Right.
Which would be now 15 and 16. Okay, and everything else stays the same?
I think so.
Okay. Good? All right, good. Okay.
But moved up to 3?
And that one, we're gonna do that too. Yeah, so everything moves down, you're right, so then,
So we don't have 35 articles anymore.
yeah, so I know we still 35 articles, we didn't want that. Okay.
Just sorry, where did you put 34?
34 is now Article 3, so that the budget is Article 4.
I just didn't know if people were kidding. But
No.
I would move 35. I would move 34.
I'm sorry, 35. I'm sorry, that's right, 35, the last one, 35. You're right. 35. Thank you. Duly noted. 35, which is the last article, which is the transfers among operating budget line items in FY '24. Okay, all right.
I look for a motion to.
Move to adjourn?
Correct. Move to adjourn.
Aye.
Okay.
Good night, Littleton. We'll see you Monday.
Yeah, plan for next Monday.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna do another joint meeting. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Yep. Thanks, man.